It's now 7 o'clock p.m. The date is June 21st, 2021. Before we begin this evening's council meeting, we have two city ordinances that are standing a public hearing at the moment. One is Ordinance 1055, and the other one is Ordinance 1056. So we will be proceeding the council meeting with a public hearing on these ordinances. The first ordinance is Ordinance 1055 concerning amendment to Chapter 25 to add Independence Day Commission. Madam Secretary, can you please read the header of that ordinance into the record?
Yes. An ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Havre, Grace, pursuant to the authority provided by the Maryland Constitution, Article 11E, the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and the city charter, sections 33 and 34, amending the city code, chapter 25, adding a new article 9 and section 25 through 50, through sections 25 through 54, Independence Day Commission.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Is anyone in the audience this evening here to speak on Ordinance 1055? Okay. Any members of the council have comments? Okay, with no comments from the public or the council on Ordinance 1055, the time is now 7:02. I call a public hearing on Ordinance 1055 to be closed. Second public hearing this evening is going to be a public hearing on Ordinance 1056 concerning amendment to Chapter 25 to add Cultural Exchange Commission. Is any member of the audience here this evening to speak on 1056? I believe I have a pre-app filled out form, Ms. Debbie Sathis. Okay. Welcome, Ms. Sathis. Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience here this evening to speak upon Ordinance 1056? Are there comments from the council? Okay. Without any further comments on 1056, I now close it. The time is now 7:04. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The date is June 21st, 2021. The time is now 7:05 p.m. I call to order a meeting of the Mayor and Havre Grace City Council. Do the roll call real quick, make sure we're all here. Councilmember Martin?
Here.
Councilmember Robertson?
Here.
Councilmember Zinner?
Here.
Councilmember Boyer?
Here.
Councilmember Ringsager?
Here.
Council President Glenn?
Here.
All council members are present and accounted for. If you would do me the honor, everyone, to join me with the Pledge of Allegiance and the opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could ask everybody just to please remain standing for a few more moments. I'd like to call forward Evangelist Gene Proud of the Proud Evangelistic Association. Honored to have you here. Good to see you again, sir.
Always honored to be here. Especially tonight, it's raining. And rain is the blessing of God. And if I could wish one thing on each and every one of you, that blessing of God come and
Amen. Reverend Proud, thank you. We're going to go to item number 5, which is the approval of the minutes from city council meeting, closed sessions, public budget hearing, and Harford County work sessions. So we're going to start off with the city council meeting minutes of June 7, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Councilmember Martin, second by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments on the city council minutes of June 7, 2021? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The city council meeting minutes of June 7, 2021 are approved by council 6-0 in the affirmative. Item B, closed session minutes of June 7, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Boyer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Closed session minutes of June 7, 2021 are approved by council 6-0 in the affirmative. Item C, budget public hearing minutes from the June 14th session 2021. Motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Ringsager. Seconded by Councilmember Martin. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Budget public hearing minutes of June 14, 2021 are approved by council 6-0 in the affirmative. Item D, Harford County work session minutes of May 11, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by the council president. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Harford County work session minutes of May 11, 2021 are approved by council 6-0 in the affirmative. Item number 6 is comments from citizens on agenda items. This is the part of this evening's meeting. If you're here to speak on a matter that is on the agenda, this is the time to do so. If you're here this evening because you wish to speak on a matter of city business that is not on the agenda, we have a place at the end of the meeting under citizens' comments. So what I'll do, if you're here to speak on an agenda item, I will call on my forms that people filled out ahead of time. But after that, I'll call on anyone in the audience in general if you wish to speak on an agenda item. So I have 2 pre-filled out forms. And Ms. Bridget Carty? Good evening, Ms. Carty.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Bridget Carty, 1015 Morrison Boulevard, Havre de Grace. As the Executive Director of the Lower Susquehanna Heritage Greenway, I'm here to speak in support of the Lower Susquehanna Heritage Greenway's signature environmental protection and education event, River Sweep, now in its 21st year, and to thank you for your 20 years of support. Together, we have removed 114.5 tons of debris from local waterways. Items include bottles, cans, bags, tires, 55-gallon drums, styrofoam, propane tanks, shoes, a shopping cart, a toilet, bikes, car batteries, metal cylinders, an old inflatable boat, and other debris abandoned or washed up on the shoreline. Over the years, thousands of people have participated throughout the Greenway, usually to celebrate Earth Day in the spring, but we're changing it up a bit this year and celebrating World Rivers Day, with plans to resume our Earth Day event this coming April. During the event, participants spend the morning removing trash from the Upper Bay region, not only beautifying the riverside landscape, but also encouraging widespread community environmental stewardship. Volunteers have included individuals, families, youth groups, environmental clubs, green teams, scouts, baseball teams, kayakers, boaters, fishing clubs, alumni organizations, local companies, and thanks to Councilmember Boyer, our newest friends, the marine conservationists, One Ocean Scuba. By providing event permission and DPW assistance with debris removal, the city has played a significant role in this effort. We hope you will once again partner with us for this event. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call forward Mr. Peter Green. Good evening, Mr. Green. May we please have your name and address for the record?
Yes, I'm Peter Green, 427 Brian Garth in Havre de Grace.
Welcome.
Good evening to you. I'm here basically to reiterate what Bridget has said. I've been part of the River Sweep project for a number of years, and I see it as something that can not be looked at anything other than a win for the community. It is a wonderful way to educate young people because a lot of our volunteers over the years have been Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, families with small children. It helps them learn about the environment. It gives them a chance to interact with the environment of the town. It builds on the community support. So there is no way that anyone can look at this as anything other than a positive event that each year has resulted in the removal of a large amount of trash from the area at the cost of just having people come in and volunteer, get a little dirty. It's amazing the looks of the faces of the people at the end of the day. They're sweaty, they're dirty, but they're happy. They've had a positive impact on the environment and on the community. So I look forward to your approval of the event again this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Okay, those are the forms that have been pre-filled out. Is anyone in the audience here this evening to speak on an agenda item? Please raise your hand and be recognized. Yes, ma'am. Good evening and welcome. Maybe you please have your name and address for the record.
Jolene Forrester, owner of Joe Retro at 137 North Washington Street.
Welcome.
I'm here tonight to talk about the Pyrex and Vintage Fest. It's normally done annually, semi-annually. This year, we did not request the April date, but I am requesting the date for the fest for April 18th, September 18th. And this would be our 5th year hosting with the Havre de Grace Alliance. Our goal is to create a fun, unique event that brings shoppers to downtown Havre de Grace. We partner with several other restaurants and shop owners. We're excited this year that Seneca Cannery Antiques is also going to participate with approval to place people on their porch area to grow the event even larger. We started with about 11 vendors. We've had 60 in the past. We closed 2 blocks of Pennington Avenue, leaving open North Washington. We have in the past had a bigger event, but we found that the smaller event is easier for us to manage. We have vendors that come from multiple states, and we expect to have 1,000 or more visitors come. Many of them stay for the weekend and stay in local hotels, patronize the shops and restaurants. And we find it to be a very beneficial event that introduces Havre de Grace to a lot of visitors that have never been here before. So I'm looking forward to approval for the event for September 18th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on an agenda item? Sir. Good evening. May we please have your name and address for the record?
Good evening. Sean McCone, 5 Northampton, Timonium, Maryland.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Martin, President Glenn, and other council members. I'm here to speak on the agenda item 14B3 for the Susquehanna River Running Festival. I want to thank you for your support in the past. This will be our 4th annual. I'll bet last year was virtual, so I'll keep my comments brief. Also publicly congratulate our 2 Havre de Grace High School senior winners this year, Jalen Day and Peyton DeLeva. So happy to answer any questions if you have about the event. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Sean. Do you have questions? Oh, sorry, I thought, never mind, we're good. Anybody else in the audience wish to speak on an agenda item? Any comments from council? You're good? Okay. We will move on to item 7. Item 7 this evening is appointments. There are no appointments scheduled for this evening. Item 8 is presentations. We have several presentations this evening, and we will be starting with the Wage and Benefit Report by member of the Wage and Benefit Commission, Mr. Fred Wills, Jr. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, same here. I'm here to represent the Employee Benefits and Compensation Commission. Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you know, it's an annual presentation that we give. It's been 2 years since we presented because of COVID, so a lot of things are different than we've shown in the past, as you'll see as we go through this presentation. Second? Okay, thanks. You're pushing? Thanks. Okay, first we're going to baseline why we're here. Back in 2015, Havre Grace formed the Employee Benefits Commission. We went along for 2 years. We started to see, okay, some things needed refinement. Ever since then, we've been working under Ordinance 992, which is what we're going to present to you today, the elements therein. Next slide, please. First, the commission membership. As you can see, there's 4 civilian voting members, 2 city council members. Carolyn Zinner would vote. Jimmy only votes if there is a tie. Steve and Chief are also voting, and then some non-voting members. The vacancy on the civilian side is something we'd like to address because we're having trouble getting forums from time to time, but we'll talk about that at the end. Okay, any questions? Do feel free to ask at any point. The commission's goal, this is more or less like a mission statement for us. This will, the 992 details our duties in detail, the 5 elements we have to give. This is just basically an overall mission statement. Provide realistic alternatives for employee benefits and compensation that consider employee recruitment and retention while balancing that against the affordability for this city. It's pretty straightforward. You know, what do we think is reasonable? What can we get? How does that meet in the middle somewhere? And that's what we try to help you find. That's our job. Next chart, please. There are 5 elements, A through E, in 992. These, I will do each one individually. The first one is strategic direction for the other post-employee benefits. We've been rattling this element for a while. I think everybody would remember it. We've kind of been we have been meeting the needs of the state, the guidance of the state, not the needs, the guidance of the state. But in 2020, the GASB came out with a statement number 97, which provided guidance to these elements under OPEB. We've looked at it, we've reviewed it, there's details in it. The commission basically is going to give you a recommendation at the end that the administration discuss the financial statement with the auditors to ensure compliance, and it should also include the city establishing a trust for the OPEB benefits. That'll be our recommendation later in the presentation. On to B. Exploring alternative benefits for employees from those benefits currently in place, and analysis through routine reviews and comparisons of other comparable government municipalities and their benefits. Basically, this is us. How are we doing in the field around the county, in a nutshell? The biggest element and the biggest thing we have been putting forward is the police department. They're continuing to experience challenges regarding recruitment and retention. As the state and the other commissions, we will show the other counties, the other communities are outpacing us at the moment. But this has been our primary focus throughout this past year, while we sporadically met when we could and whenever conditions allowed. The competitive environment is hurting municipalities across Harford County and the country. Truthfully, they all battle for each other to try to have a little bit of an edge, and we'll go into that analysis in our findings later on. Also last year, Chris Reese and Chief Walter attended a conference focusing on police retention. So those are some of the efforts we took this past year and a half, 2 years, and we'll get into the findings later on. Next. Item C is to review the current personnel manual and recommendations concerning the same. We've looked at the manual now 5 or 6 times in a row. I think at this point, we kind of have that down. We're in pretty good shape there. There is a shift towards kind of how Chris is going to be doing some of his hiring, Chris Ricci, in terms of looking, does he look for just skill set, or does he look for those esoteric qualities of people that would want a job and stay with a job? So that's kind of a different way of looking at things that we'll talk to later on. In D, we were asked to consult the administration's needs in regard to City Code Chapter 130. The recommendations related to benefits provided by exempt service employees. Those would be the 6 or 7 contracted employees. There was some effort that went back and forth. At the end, basically the city said, we're not going to pursue that anymore, but thanks for the help. We moved on. Next chart. And E is our final element. The consideration of potential outsourcing opportunities. I think that the city has done a good job. We think that the commission thinks that the city has done a good job here. The city, you've outsourced effectively, and you're freeing up employees who have special skill sets to perform things such as DPW effort on pipes and work, or the water plant and things like that. You're not pulling people off of that to take care of other cutting grass and or snow removal or whatever else it needs. And I think that's been done. The police department established a citizen volunteer auxiliary to help assist. And this is something I see as we come out of COVID is going to kick back in again. The number and the frequency of events, as the restrictions decline, are going to increase the number of people that are, or the number of hours you're going to be requiring. As you go to later in the evening, you're going to look to approve some events for the future, and I think we're starting to see those become a lot more numerous. So we want to, efforts like that will help keep some of the costs down. So that was a good job. Next, please. Okay, we'll go a little deeper now in what I just presented for each of the elements to say what we've done. The primary focus this year has been, as I said, the police officer challenges regarding recruitment and retention. The salary review found a lagging gap with those of the other 2 municipalities in the county, being Aberdeen and Bel Air. I was going to show you a chart in a second that'll give you more detail. Comparing the benefits for each of the 3 municipalities, the compensations, in our view, are basically on a par. This leaves salary and municipality preferences as the discriminating factor, which comes down to basically salary when it gets to the end of the day, for sworn officer prospects to consider. Now, another challenge, which isn't salary necessarily related, is the recent passing of the Maryland Police Accountability Act of 2021, which repealed the Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights. While this isn't necessarily a wage or earnings benefit, we feel this is something the commission can try to put its collective brain power towards and try to help out Chief as time goes on again. You could argue if it falls under our purview or not, but I think we're there to help, so we'll do it. Okay, next chart. Okay, we've only presented 2 charts here, officer and corporal level to show you. In the report, there's an embedded spreadsheet at the end as an attachment that has all of the ranks, all of the numbers, all of the comparisons. But we're just trying to show kind of the general trend here with these 2 charts. As you can see below, the gray line is Bel Air. Probably people can't read it, okay. So what you have is the officer, OFC, and corporal, CPL, on the right. The lines across the bottom are the number of years, and then the salaries on the left column going up, the left axis. The gray line is Bel Air. The yellow line is Aberdeen, and Havre is the red line. As you can see that Aberdeen starts slightly higher than Bel Air. We start below both. Bel Air has chosen, and this happened last year or 2 years ago, I forget when last year, and they changed their pay schedule. You can see it's very aggressive for 15 years, and then it flatlines. There's benefits they feel in that, and there's also some challenges, because once every officer gets to 15, they have to where they're going to get their next raise and so forth. But it's starting officers aren't thinking more than 10 years out, so 15 looks wonderful to them. You can see Aberdeen and Havre have more or less take a more linear approach to the scale. It's more, as time would go on, you're seeing a more consistent increase, kind of tying in more or less to annual increases. As time goes on, they have more experience, they deserve a little more pay. That's the ranks. Next chart, please. So, the big thing to point out here is the starting points. both of the, and the sheriff's office included in this, they all start above 50,000 as the first year. We are sitting at somewhere between $45,000 and $50,000, and the significance of this has been demonstrated in feedback from prospective employee interviews and various other things. Shows that it's almost like that, gas is always, 99.9. There's that factor of being over it. Guys want to say, well, I'm a police officer, I'm going to put my life on the line, I should make 50,000 today, and those two guys are getting it, and I'm not. So we're hearing feedback like that. So this discussion will go a little deeper, but that's going to pretty much be the crux of what we're here to talk about. Next chart, please. Moving on to the second point is, in conducting this sworn officer analysis, we sort of said, well, how are things going on the civilian side? It's been a while too. So the last time there was any type of cost of living adjustment to the schedule, it was in 2017. So they've been on the same schedule now for almost 5 years now. The impacts of COVID-19 on the economy, the consumer price index, urban for you, is running higher in 2021 than the average for the last 5 years. And we're halfway through the year. So we're watching that. We're going to give you feedback on that, tell you what we think. The commission points out that the civilian level wages in the current schedule that we have today will not meet the minimum wage increases Maryland has mandated once we hit 1 January 2023. So our minimum starting salary won't be compliant come January 1, 2023 with the mandate. So we'll have to, it's another element, heads up on that's coming at you. The COVID-19, as I say, as we state, brought many challenges to the workforce in 2020 when it came to employee retention. Recently there's been an increase in vacancies on the civilian side. For the last 5 years, we did pretty well, but we're starting to now hear the same thing. It's been a long time since any COLAs, and as you can see, the consumer index cost of living is getting higher. Now I know it's in very spiked areas if you look across the true CPI, but you can make arguments, but it's still starting to hit everybody. Human Resources and the Commission are looking for trends and so forth like we do, which is part of our goal. I point out that 2 years ago, our report had a review regarding different age groups, and millennials being one, which is more prevalent. We said, look, these guys are more millennials by practice are more transient. They move from job to job more frequently. So we're starting to see the things we warned about 2 years ago. So that's an impact on that also. Next chart, please. Moving on to the other accomplishments. The city moved from a 5-level to a 3-level rating scheme, evaluation process, and we felt it was just too confusing with too many points to pick, and we agree that was a good move. It simplified the evaluation period. Number 4, we support the approach taken by city human resources personnel, which is what I talk about is as you recruit, you're recruiting for, in the labor positions, an employee's motivation versus a skill set. You can teach someone to do some of those skills, but if you can evaluate, and Chris Reese has taken the time and he has the training to sort of do as best he can. It's an esoteric discussion, but do the evaluation of a person's motivation versus just, will they want a job? Do they want, will they stick with a job? So I think it's a little more time consuming. It's not a little, it's more time consuming to do that, but we believe that can yield you a better, more stable workforce. So it's a good approach. And then the last is the vacancy I mentioned earlier. We'd like to see if we can get a name on there just to help us with a little more brain power, and we can look at the makeup of the commission, see what we need or how we feel. We'd like to tell you, sir, and let you know what that is, if that's okay. And that's it for our accomplishments and findings. The commission recommendations. Next slide there, Steve. There we go. So formally, these are what we voted on at the last meeting and said, okay, this is what we'd like to tell you our recommendations are. As you know, we're a commission. We just recommend. If you have any changes, questions, or anything, we're always available. We work at your behest. We recommend first that the mayor and city council consider increasing the sworn officer pay schedule start at $50,000. Now, I mentioned earlier in the report, there's a spreadsheet as an attachment. Chris and I put together that spreadsheet was made by the commission to allow us to give you what-if drill exercises. Say, well, what if we can't get that much? What would be the impact if it could only be 49? What would be the impact if it was higher than that? What it does is that spreadsheet basically takes into account for the sworn officer, and we could do it again for the civilian side if we decide to go that way. Exactly where everyone is at today, and if we change it by whatever, we can drop those numbers fairly quickly, and with George's help, come up with the numbers. So that when you look at that number at the bottom of the statement, we said, we did it, if you look at the spreadsheet, we did a what-if drill 2, which is simply starting at the 50K, because there's some other what-if drills in there for us to do, just to test our model and also to see where things were going, because it's not always intuitive. Like, one of the reasons you'll have to do, we started running it with just moving it to 50, and if you don't do anybody else, at 18, year 18, the officers exceed the corporals in salary. 2 18 years would be the same, and at 19, the officer makes more than a corporal does. So you've got to, we looked at all those bumping points and all that across the different ranks to make sure you don't have a situation where a higher rank is making less money given a year. But anyway, so putting all that together, summing all that up, and there's a lot of this, some description in the report, and the spreadsheet is somewhat explanatory, but not easy. I think it wouldn't hurt if somebody can walk you, if you have questions, walk you through it. Bottom line, it would be approximately, and it's a moving target, because if you decide today to do it, the numbers I already give you here, 371, were based on information about 3 months ago. But we can update it. David?
The 371, does that include any estimates for overtime, or is that just straight salary?
It's a salary plus all the overhead, what I would call loaded costs.
Not overtime.
Overtime would be, did it include overtime, George? We're very flexible. Number 2, so that's with that on. Given, as we stated earlier, the commission recommends that we consider, at least look at the civilian pay scale. Now, the timing is interesting. The fiscal year 22 budget is going to be, is current. You're in the middle of it come July 1st. You're starting it, I should say. So you start your budget planning in January, and we'll have the new CPNIU for the year of the past calendar year to guide our fiscal next year. So you'll always lag the CPA, the index, but that's okay. At least you'll have we'll be able to give you a feel for what the economy has really done in that year, and that will help you to plan for the year ahead. And you can decide if it's the CPI, if it's too much, you may not agree with it, that's fine, but we're just giving you what the numbers would be, because then you could continue to put it into the following year, 2023's budget. But anyway, whoops, I'm not there. It's my house, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, there we go, 3, thank you. Okay, 2 more recommendations, and then our next steps will be done as quickly as we can. The commission recommends that you look at long-range staffing plans. This was a carryover from last year's, and I think some of this is already happening, but we're just reinforcing it here. The recruitment and efforts took longer than anticipated. This got back to the bleeder over from millennials, not to pick on them as a group, but the idea of the more transiency of the nature of their employment to help lessen liability should a critical job be done. And I think Chris, your HR staff is doing a good job in that area. We also recommend the city discuss statement number 97, which is the whole OPEB benefits, the way we described it as getting to with the auditors and setting up a plan. The last chart is our next steps. We will continue to increase the efforts to support with the police department and their challenges regarding recruitment and retention. We will continue to evaluate the pension system, as we mentioned earlier, with the CPI and the COLA potential. Is it necessary, isn't it? The biggest thing I leave at the bottom here is, given the trade-off decisions and evolving nature of these recommendations in this reporting period, we normally report out every April, and what we're basically saying is, I think as a commission, yeah, we'll report out in April, but as a commission, I think we need to be more attentive or responsive to your guys' needs in a month-to-month basis as opposed to an annual basis. So feel free to ask us to do anything, not that you wouldn't or wouldn't do it, but I'm just saying, I think we're in a time where it's a lot more dynamic given the past year, the changes on things, and the year to come. So that concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Mr. Wills, I want to thank you very much. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
And I know we missed you last year because of COVID, but we're glad you're here this time. We know the commission's worked very hard. And you gave us a lot to consider.
Yes, we did.
It's a chief discussion in my office constantly with the director of administration and chief of staff, that we're having staffing issues. You know, we've lost a handful of officers because, mostly due to the repeal of Law Enforcement Officer Bill of Rights. That's kind of out of our hands, and I'm hoping the legislators in Annapolis next year get back to the table and try to rework it. You know, so we're not the only agency losing officers. Everybody's losing officers, and you can't blame them. But also, Department of Public Works, we're down several positions, and we're struggling to fill them. My first 5 years as mayor, everywhere I would go, someone would come up to me on the street or at a store and say, hey, you know, my husband's looking for work or my son's looking for work. Is the city hiring? Is the city hiring? And, you know, I direct them to the, you know, the web page if we have postings, but nobody asks anymore for jobs. Nobody wants a job. We have many, many open positions, full-time DPW positions starting at $35,000, $36,000, full benefits, retirement, with no skills. You know, you don't need any prior work experience. Now, of course, the city adjusts its entry-level pay if you bring in prior work experience, any skills, stuff like that. I mean, but the bottom, you know, entry is a very, you know, it's a good place to start, especially if you are a young man or woman. Nobody wants these jobs. We used to have our pick of part-time DPW workers just to work 25, 28 hours a week on the weekends and things at $15, $16 an hour. Now we raised it to 20, nobody wants a job. And so the difficult question is, and I think everyone agrees, right now I think we're living on monopoly money right now. I mean, this is a result of when the government pumps $6 trillion into the economy. And so the problem is, you don't want to chase this cost increase, because I really feel the bottom is going to get kicked out of it in the future. And if we raise everything up, you know, massive salaries because we don't have any employees, well, when the economy kind of settles a little bit, I don't want the citizens of Havre to be stuck with having to raise tax increases to pay these salaries, because, you know, you can't, it's the government. You can't, you know, the rising tide floats all boats. You got to raise everyone's salary. Like you said, police officers. If you have a starting salary of $50,000, and of course you have to raise everyone above them too. So like I said, it's a very difficult thing we're trying to do, because our job is to make sure when you pick up the phone, there's someone that answers it, whether it's a police call or a busted water main or whatever it happens to be. The trash cans in the parks get emptied. I'm talking about basic stuff. We're doing it. Our workforce right now is stretched thin. A lot of guys are being called in on the weekends constantly, you know, to carry it out. But no, I hear what you're saying. Everything you said in your report are things we think about constantly. Now, as a city, now I want everyone to know that the city is very, very cognizant of the cost of living. You know, and I don't think any man or woman should work and then make less every year because the cost of living, you know, the price of a loaf of bread keeps going up, or your Comcast bill keeps going up. I mean, we owe our employees at least that, you know, that they have a career with the city, and we've always said that. And that's one of the things the Wage and Benefit Commission has always been very good about, is directing the administration with advice on how to put our employees on a good career path. But yeah, it's this past year has been insane, just trying to get boots on the ground. I mean, nobody wants to work, and the people that apply for jobs, it's almost a joke. I mean, they're just there just to check off a box that, yeah, I applied for a job, just keep sending me my unemployment check. I mean, they're not even qualified for anything. They don't even really want the job. So again, we're going to keep trying to staff positions, but we also have to be very diligent not to get too crazy and chase that balloon because it's like a balloon shooting up in the air without tide on the bottom. The air's going to run out. And so we're going to do the best we can. But I really want to thank the Wage and Benefit Commission, because everything you said is point on. And we have excellent people, including yourself, Mr. Wills. I'm very grateful that you're on that commission, by the way. And I know Councilmember Ringsacher is liaison. You guys work really, really, really hard. And I know you work with the chief and George DeHorty's on that. And so, like I said, it's important. Normally, when you guys present, it's good advice, and we kind of juggle numbers around. But now the only reason I'm on my soapbox right now is I'm just letting citizens know. The city's facing the same challenges that every business right now is. I mean, everyone in this room, if you've been to a restaurant lately,
Exactly.
how long does it take to get your food, right? You know what I mean? Because they're all short-staffed. You know, so the city of Havre is facing the same issues that the rest of the country is. So that might be off on topic a little bit, but I just wanted to say thank you, and we're working on it. I think Councilmember Boyer had something to say.
Yes, thank you very much for this report. Great report. You guys all put a lot of wonderful effort into it, and I really appreciate the information that you get. Now, since you all put this together, the president passed legislation saying, or signed into law, for the Juneteenth holiday. Would it be possible for the commission to take this back and come back to us with a recommendation on
It's under our purview, because that's, now, so the federal government has a benefit that we don't have at the moment. So we could look at way back, you know, the trade-off of what does that have an impact on us? So close to Aberdeen, proving ground, we have people who have an option, maybe go that way just to get a little extra, whatever. I mean, we'll look at that whole
Yeah.
situation for you guys, for you, yes. My last point on the next steps was what I was trying to drive home, and is that, you know, we used to be year to year with everybody. And we're, you know, if there was something popped up, like President Glenn asked me to do something back a couple years ago, and we scrambled something together. But we aren't used to working that way, but I think we have to be now. We just want you to know we will be there more responsively, and week to week, month to month, not, you know, see in April, it's been a good year kind of stuff. Because it is, you've got, and part of that spreadsheet is to be the building block for HR and George and others to use to be able to say, okay, this is a quick what-if thing, what is my impact? And if I only do it to a specific piece of the department, you can pull that out and see what that does. And that was our part of compartmentalizing some of the stuff. You can say if a certain element has to be looked at, more scrutinized, we can do that quickly and easily with that stuff. So that's why we took the time to build that in the first place. So.
Councilmember Boyer, Councilmember Ringsacher, rather. Sorry.
Mr. Wills, I thank you so much for the presentation. That was very in-depth. I really appreciate all the hard work you do. The vast wealth of knowledge on the commission is stunning. I do promise we're going to try to fill that civilian vacancy. We're not sexy like the Historic Preservation Committee, but you know, nobody wants to sit there and do the numbers for city employment. But we will find somebody. We got to find the right person. I think that the people we have on there now, we work exceptionally well together. You know, if I have any questions for the chief, she just could rattle off the numbers for me. Same thing with George and Chris and everybody else. Very helpful. The civilian members are, you know, subject matters experts in their fields as well. And it's been an honor serving on the commission, but it's really been an honor serving with you, Fred, as well. Just for, like I said, your fund of knowledge is second to none, and I do appreciate it.
Appreciate that comment, thank you. Well, we'll move on to the next here, because I see there's a lot more to be done tonight. Thanks very much for your time.
Okay, now we go to item B, presentation. Historic Preservation Beautification Awards. I'd like to call forward Ms. Kathy Lee. Anyone else that you wish to call forward?
Well, I got a whole slew of them. We're gonna get them all forward here.
If you wanted to give the background first, and then call everybody forward,
Sure.
some presentations on it.
Yes, well, this is the Annual Beautification Award. We do this every year. We didn't do it last year, but we started, this will be our 4th year of doing this, except for last year. We look at the houses in Havre de Grace that have been fixed up beautifully, in most cases, that don't meet quite the strict interpretation of historic preservation as a whole. But these houses have been fixed up. They're really nice. I'm really proud of this year's winners. Our first home, and these are the 2 homeowners. You can get up. These are the Kleinbergs. They live at 131 South Washington Street at the corner of Bourbon and Washington, next to Zellman's.
They bought this house, it was a lot smaller, and they have added on to it. They had a lot of problems along the way. It took well over a year for the construction, 18 months for the construction to be done on this house. When they got to the 3rd floor, they discovered that the wood was rotten. They had to take it down to the 2nd floor and then partway to the 1st floor because it was that rotten. But they've done incredible work on this house, and when they finished it, they then furnished the outside of it beautifully. There's a piano out there and chairs and flowers, and it's just beautiful. So I would like to present the Kleinbergs and their beautiful home. My second home, because there are 3 of them, is, yes, this is Mr. and Mrs. Brink. Mr. and Mrs. Brink, can get up. Come on. He's Mrs. Brink. Okay. The Brinks live at 401 South Union. They bought this house. It was a boarding house. It was just a mess. Over the course of many years now. How many years has it been? 7, going on 8. They have fixed it up and spent a fortune on it. They turned it from a boarding house into a 3-unit home that is family occupied completely. They put a beautiful garage in the back. They finally finished the front porch, so we could finally include them in our beautification awards this year. And their home is just lovely compared to what it was before. And then number 3, Linnea. This is Linnea's house. She has a pink Christmas tree in the front yard, as you can see. She's decorated this house really lovely. She has had it on Facebook, and I've followed it for several years now. She's in the process now of doing the backyard, which you can't see from the street, but you can see it on Facebook, with shutters painted all different colors. She's done a wonderful job with this house, and she certainly deserved the beautification award this year also. So the mayor is supposed to come forward now and do his bit. So you all get to stand again. And you get to go in the middle there. Yes, yes, please.
What's that? I've met all of you. I haven't met you yet officially. I think I met your husband on the night of the Candlelight Tour. And I talked to you on the night of the Candlelight Tour, and you told me about your father's in the Navy, or was in the Navy. Big Navy fan, so anyways, like, it's nice to meet you, sir. But I tell you what, I'm a big, and I know I've been to your house once a couple of years ago. Big fan of all your houses. Couldn't be more proud and approving of the selection of your homes and what it means to the city of Havre de Grace. It's just, it's beautiful. There's different types of renovations going on in the city, and as I said, there's the pure historical renovation where everything to the T is historically accurate, and historic windows and glass. I mean, that's very painstaking, and we do have citizens that undergo that, and it makes our city beautiful. But the other renovation is people that just take older homes and they make them beautiful. And that is the perpetual lifeline of our city, is just a continual investment into our homes. And then, again, it could be a historic look to it, it could be a more modern look, but either way, it's people investing into our homes, because we all know that there's cities throughout this country that are dying where nobody's investing in their homes. But it's not true in the city of Havre de Grace. And it's because we have citizens like yourselves that come here and you're willing to make an investment and to live here. And because of that, myself and the council members are very grateful. And I'd like to present all of you with a recognition award. And everyone that does great things in the city also get a Havre de Grace City flag that we would love to see you fly from your house. So I know it's, we got you covered. So Kim and Alan Kleinberg, this is for you. Thank you. Absolutely. Mr. and Mrs. Brink, this is for you. Thank you. Linnea, and that's for you. And let me get your flags for you. Before I hand you the flags, do you wish to speak or tell us anything unique about your home or why you had it remodeled the way it did?
I'd just like to say thanks to everyone who encouraged us along the way. When we were working on it, we were out in the yard, when we were dumping plaster, so many people stopped by and said that they appreciated the work, and that made us feel welcome in the city and made us feel really good.
Good. Thank you.
No, I just want to say that we had a lot of reservations about moving to small town Havre Grace initially when we took on this endeavor, and we couldn't be happier with living here and just the welcoming from everybody and all the, yeah, it's been fantastic. We love it. And this is 100 years in our family this year, this house. So it was my great-grandmother's house from 1921. So, yeah, a lot of heart went into doing that for everybody that came before us.
Fantastic. Wow, I did not know that.
I just want to say thank you to Kathleen. This was such a great honor, and my home is my heart. I'm an artist, and all the color comes from my heart, and I love it. So people walking by, making them smile, coming to my door, telling me they love the colors. It's a great feeling. So thanks.
A lot of character to it. Well, I'd like to present each of you with a Havre de Grace City flag.
Thank you.
Okay. And I want you to know, and I mean this, if I would love to see you fly the flag from your home, and if it gets weathered and tethered, you just reach out to City Hall, and we'll give you a new one. Okay, so don't worry about wearing it out. So it's we got you covered. So actually, Adam, our marketing strategist here, internet guy, social media, all that stuff, he's going to take a picture of us here. So if you don't, maybe do like a horseshoe shape. Carol, like to join us? Carol is the Historic Preservation Commission liaison.
Okay, I would just like to make a quick comment. Just this week, I ran into a neighbor, and she commented that she's lived now for 11 years in Havre de Grace, and she cannot get over the changes that she has seen in the beautification efforts within the city. So it's for people like you folks that are so dedicated to your homes and making them look beautiful, not only for your enjoyment, but for people who come into the city and look at it and other neighbors. So I want to thank you all very much, and I couldn't be happier for you for your award this year. Thank you.
Now we have one more presentation. But this is for the city council and the mayor. Jean? Kathy?
Yes, you give us flags, now we're going to give you.
That's right.
We decided this year on the commission, and my name's Jean Johnson, and I serve as the chair this year, to do a little bit of our own promotional work, and we got some lovely garden flags made here in town, supporting our local businesses, and we'd like to give one to each of the council members tonight. And Roger, my able assistant here, is carrying the heavy garden flag holders. And as you can see, much like these wonderful new murals on the walls here, I was sitting here earlier and thinking, was this always like this? This is so lovely. But I've been away. Anyway, we also have some depictions of some of the things that evoke our very interesting and complex Havre de Grace history. So it's a delight to say out loud and also on our new flags, as we did earlier on some banners down at the Moore Family Homestead, our history is worth preserving.
Yes,
So-
indeed.
So here we have, let me put this one back in.
Alrighty.
And are you going to follow me?
Sure.
Well, thank you so much. This is, and we actually had this painted last year when we were shut down.
I heard that.
Yeah, so Ezra actually worked for the city at the time, and he came in and painted it. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you, that's awesome.
Oh, it's gonna go up that.
That's great.
Yeah, well, I live in Bully Rock, I'm not allowed to have any
you.
flags.
Thanks, Gene.
Thank you so much. Very kind of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the gift. And again, I want to thank everybody. Congratulations again for your Home Beautification Awards. It means a lot. Thank you for being here this evening. Thank you. We're going to go to item C on the agenda. We were going to actually recognize Mr. Austin Brantley, who is the sculptor of the Ernest Burke statue we're going to unveil next Saturday, or this Saturday coming up. Yeah, this Saturday. Unfortunately, I think probably because of the weather, he couldn't make it this evening, so we will recognize him at a future date. But then that takes us to item 9 on the agenda. We don't have any recognitions on the agenda, but for proclamations, we do have a proclamation. And the City Council would like to proclaim Saturday, June 26th, Ernest Burke Day. Ernest Burke was a native son of Havre de Grace, born 1924, and his most famous claim to fame that we know him from, he was an all-star player in the Negro Baseball League. And like, again, he's a native of Havre de Grace. And many, many years ago, a movement spearheaded by Miss Kamay Murphy, and again, she couldn't be here this evening, to raise money to recognize Mr. Burke for a memorial, a statue. And the committee she formed to raise money for many years. Statues aren't cheap. And so, and it finally came to fruition. With some help from Havre City, Havre de Grace, and some help from Hartford County, but and a lot, generous donations and fundraising and events and dinners, and all the money was raised. And if you've driven by Tidings Park in the last week and a half, you've probably seen a lot of construction going on. We're getting ready, the city is building the base to receive the statue of Mr. Burke. It's a beautiful statue of, we don't have a picture of it, do we? No. But anyway, it's a beautiful statue of Mr. Ernest Burke in a pitcher's windup. And DPW kind of made a cement what looks like a pitcher's mound. And so it's going to be real beautiful. And Saturday at 1 o'clock. Saturday at 1 o'clock at Tidings Park. We're going to have a ceremony and a dedication and an unveiling of this magnificent life-size statue. So unfortunately, the artist couldn't be here this evening. He was supposed to be, but he couldn't make it. And Miss Murphy, who is the main person behind this whole mission for many years, we all know Miss Murphy. She couldn't make it either. But she'll be there on Saturday. So the City Council would like to proclaim Saturday, June 26th, Ernest Burke Day. And if everyone would please indulge me a few moments, I would like to read this into the record. City of Havre de Grace, Maryland, proclamation, Ernest Burke Day, June 26th. Whereas Ernest Burke, a native son of Havre de Grace, was born in the city on June 26, 1924. He was known as a man of excellent character and a man of great athletic talent. Whereas Ernest Burke served in the United States Marine Corps from 1943 to 1946, attending basic training at Camp Montfort Point in Jacksonville, North Carolina. As a United States Marine, he served his country with great honor and valor in the Pacific Theater during World War II. And whereas Ernest Burke played professional Major League Baseball for the Baltimore Elite Giants in the Negro American League from 1946 to 1949, and whereas Ernest Burke, as a humanitarian, made many appearances at schools and public gatherings, motivating others to achieve. And whereas Ernest Burke dedicated his life towards the advancement of African Americans, and whereas on April 20th, 1998, the Mayor and City Council of Havre Grace proclaimed April 25th, 1998 as Ernest Burke Day, and whereas July 5th, 2016, the Mayor and City Council of Havre Grace passed Resolution 2016-09, recognizing Ernest Burke for his distinguished accomplishments and service to the nation. Whereas on June 26, 2021, the City of Havre Grace, along with the Ernest Burke Memorial Sculpture Committee, unveil a life-size sculpture of Ernest Burke by artist Austin Brantley. Now, therefore, I, William T. Martin, Mayor of the City of Havre Grace, along with the members of the Havre Grace City Council, recognize Ernest Burke as a trailblazer for future African Americans who served in the United States military and played professional sports, do hereby proclaim June 26, Ernest Burke Day in the City of Havre Grace. Signed by myself and every member of the City Council. And we do hope everyone's schedules allow you to attend on Saturday. It'll be a very, very nice event. And the first of what we hope to be, many sculptures and statues in that park. Many conversations with Ms. Murphy I've had in the past. We've taken trips out there. And if you're looking at the War Memorial, from you're standing on Commerce Street and you're looking at the War Memorial and the gazebo's on the right, the statue is going to be to the right of it. And if you know, there's a walkway that kind of meanders towards the playground. And ideally, this may take decades to do, but ideally, perhaps the next famous Havre de Grace citizen statue can be another one on the walkway. It'll be a walkway of famous people in Havre de Grace, but Mr. Burke's going to be the first one. And so we waited many years for this, and so we hope you can join us. All right, thank you, Council. We're going to go to item number 11, resolutions. We have one resolution this evening, a calendar resolution concerning license agreement for a sign at 421 Congress Avenue, and I'm going to hand this off to the liaison to the Planning Committee, Councilmember Ringsager.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I make a motion to introduce a calendar resolution concerning a license agreement for a sign at 421 Congress Avenue.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Ringsager, seconded by Councilmember Boyer. This is a motion to introduce a resolution. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce a resolution carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, can you please assign this resolution a number and read the header into the record?
Yes, thank you. This will be resolution number 2021-11. A resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland and sections 33 and 34 of the city charter for the construction and installation of a sign over a portion of the city right-of-way at 421 Congress Avenue.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council to have a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-11.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Boyer, second by Councilmember Ringsager. Questions or comments on a resolution before the roll call vote? Councilmember Ringsager.
Mr. Mayor, Council, this is a sign for the new business called Forever Farmhouse Finds. Small little place. Most people might remember the building on the corner of Lodge Lane and Congress. I think it was an antique shop, though I don't remember it ever being open. The new occupants there have painted everything, put up really nice shutters, and cleaned up the entire building, and put like tables and chairs in there that they're selling farmhouse sort of style. And they want to put a 15-inch by 15 engraved wooden sign on the lamppost the private property lamppost that is on the city right-of-way, not on a city lamppost, but on their lamppost. They want to hang a 15 by 15 sign, but it is in the city right-of-way, so they're required to get a lease agreement. The lease agreement includes a standardized $50 fee and a 5-year expiration to end on the last day of the year. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you very much, Councilman Ringsacker. Any other questions or comments? Okay, council, I'll do a roll call vote on this resolution. Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsacker.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
By a roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, City Council Resolution 2021-11 is approved and adopted by the council. Thank you very much. We're going to go to item number 12, ordinances. We have one ordinance this evening. It's a pretty important one. It's the city budget. And it's ordinance 1054, second reading, and I will hand this off to Councilmember Robertson, who's the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt on second reading ordinance 1054 concerning the FY22 budget.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Zinner. This is a motion to introduce on second reading ordinance 1054. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance 1054 on second reading carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, can you please read the header of ordinance 1054 into the record?
Yes, an ordinance by the mayor and city council of Havre de Grace by the authority of Article 11-E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Section 37 of the Havre de Grace City Charter for the purpose of establishing the city budget for fiscal year 2022 by designating the annual projection of anticipated revenues and proposed authorized expenses for the city of Havre de Grace for the fiscal year 2022.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council may I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1054 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson, seconded by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments on this ordinance? Council President.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. As a longtime Little League coach, when I was looking at the budget, I saw where the Little League contribution for this year, which is normally $15,000, went down to $9,000, and that's because that's all the Little League asked for. They asked for $9,000. They figured with COVID, because of constrained resources, they'd play their part, and they went from 15 to 9. However, got a call a couple weeks ago, and they had an unexpected expenditure. It turns out that they had a leak in their roof of the equipment building. They had water getting into the equipment building, and that really puts the Little League equipment at risk. They reached out to a local contractor. The contractor said, if you could provide the supplies and the materials, I'll do the work free of charge. So the Little League asked me, they said, can the city increase our contribution from $9,000 to $11,000, $2,000 for supplies and materials, so that we put a new roof on the equipment building. So based upon that, I propose we raise the annual contribution for the Little League, account number 0123326091 on page 18 of the budget, of the FY22 budget, from $9,000 to $11,000, and in turn, change the unrestricted fund balance, account 010001-49-98 on page 2, from $2,090,500 to $2,092,500. This change will not impact any other organizational effort by the administration, and will assist the Havre de Grace Little League to cover the unexpected emergency expenditures that they experienced within the past 2 weeks. I've coordinated this with the mayor, I've coordinated with the director of administration, I've coordinated the director of finance, and I would hope that council would give favorable consideration to this proposed change.
Council, I have a motion by the council president. Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments on the proposed amendment to the budget? Majority of the account numbers correct as stated by the council president.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Council President's motion to increase Little League funding by $2,000 is approved 6-0.
Council, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Council President. Council, we're back under the questions for the 2022 budget. Any further questions or comments? Okay, Council, I'm going to do a roll call. Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, Ordinance 1054, fiscal year 2022 operating city budget is approved and adopted by council. Thank you very much, council. Thank you, Mr. Doherty. I want to thank all the members of my staff for working to get the numbers to Mr. Doherty. I want to thank my chief of staff, my current director of administration, as well as Mr. Seibel, who's not here this evening, and Budget and Finance Committee as well. So I want to thank everybody for your work in improving this budget for fiscal year 2022. We're going to go on to item number 14, new business. And we're going to hand this off to the Director of Administration, Mr. Gamatoria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a number of event applications this evening for council to hear. And I'll start off with the first one, which is River Sweep. The River Sweep is River Sweep 21 is sponsored by the Lower Susquehanna Heritage Greenway. The event will take place on September 18th. The times will begin at 7:30. It'll end at 1 p.m. The meeting place will be at the Havre Grace or Tidings Park gazebo, and then the group will proceed to do their normal cleanup along the waterfront. As you can see with the call sheet, the police department, there's no costs. With the Department of Public Works, we'll have staff there to assist in the pickup of the trash and so forth, and also the disposal of it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatoria. Council, to have a motion to approve the River Sweep.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Boyer. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. River Sweep 2021, scheduled for September 18th, carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Thank you, Council. Mr. Gamatoria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In council, our second event application is the Pyrex and Vintage Fest. This is sponsored by the Havre Grace Alliance. The event will take place also on September the 18th. It'll start at 7 a.m. It'll end at 5 p.m. 2 blocks of Pennington Avenue at the intersection of North Washington will be blocked off, just similar to previous years. There is in your packet a very detailed description of the past events by Jolene Forrester, who was one of the event chairs, I would say. The overall costs to the city, as you can see on your call sheet is the Police Department, 0 costs. The Department of Public Works will be involved again. Services will include putting out no parking signs and preparing those the day before, barricades, some recycling containers, and so forth. Mr. Mayor, this has been an event, I think, this is the 4th or 5th year, and draws a nice crowd into the city of Havre Grace.
Thank you very much. Council, I have a motion to approve the Pyrex and Vintage
moved.
Fest.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Councilmember Zunner. Questions or comments?
Mayor?
Councilmember Boyer?
I just want to point out on in our packets are on page, I believe, 4, that all of the neighbors, neighboring businesses, signs saying that they were in support of it. And that's a great, I just want to commend you for reaching out to the neighbors to get everybody on board, especially when we have to close down streets. It's a great neighborly thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyer. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Pyrex and Vintage Fest, scheduled for September 18th, 2021, carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Thank you very much. Mr. Gamatoya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is our third event application this evening, and this will be for the 2021 Susquehanna River Running Festival. The Al Sesky Scholarship Fund Incorporated is the event sponsor. Mr. McCone, who spoke earlier, is in the audience. As you can recall, this was a very large event a number of years ago. Due to COVID, we didn't have the opportunity to hold it last year. This event is a half marathon and also a 5K. The organization, the Sesky Scholarship, as you're aware, offers scholarships to all the schools in Harford County. Although this is not a Havre Grace nonprofit, the organization has in the past received, and again is asking council to be considered as a Havre Grace nonprofit, since some of these funds actually come back into our Havre Grace High School program. The event itself is on the 24th of September as the setup, and then the event itself will take place on the 25th. On the setup will be at 10 o'clock on the 24th. The event setup will be 6 a.m. It'll end at 6 p.m. down at Tidings Park. Of course, the runners will be traversing throughout the city. The normal course that we have been using for the 5Ks will be in play. The half marathon will be a little bit different, exactly what we experienced the last time. They'll sort of run in reverse. They'll go down Union Avenue and then traverse across the bridge. So nothing different than what we've experienced before as far as the event's concerned, other than the hours of operation will be extended a little bit. As far as the call sheet, I just want to bring to council's attention the police costs. The police costs, you'll notice, are pretty extensive. The organization takes care of paying the police department after the race is over. And it was a learning curve, I think, 2 years ago when we first started. The organization did a wonderful job making sure that all costs were covered. And we believe that'll be the same case this time. DPW costs are a lot less, and they'll also involve barricading and coning and some signage.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatoya. Council have a motion to approve the Susquehanna River Running Festival.
So moved.
Second. Motion by the council president, seconded by Councilmember Ringsager. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Susquehanna River Running Festival, scheduled for September 25th, 2021, is approved by council. 6-0 in the affirmative. Thank you very much, council. Mr. Gamatoya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council. The final event application this evening is the Havre Grace Out of the Darkness Walk. The event will take place on October 2nd, 2021. They'll begin at 6 a.m. for setup. The end time will be 1 p.m. The event will take place down at Tidings Park, where there'll be several vendor stands, and that's where the actual walk will take place. Within your packet is a diagram of how the area will look down at Tidings. The event sponsor is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, Maryland chapter. As council may recall, we dealt with Samantha Yeager for many years. This year, it's Kat Ulbrich is our point of contact. She and Tammy Brinkman have been working closely together because it's a little bit expanded event than what they had before, and we don't seem to have, there's no hiccups along the way. Everything seems to be fine. The call sheet that you'll notice at the end, no cost to with Havre Grace PD. DPW, there'll be some minor costs with setup, preparing the bathrooms, and so forth. The collection and disposal of trash and recycling will be the event sponsor's responsibility. So we don't have to do that. We may have to put out some extra cans. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much. Council, I have a motion to approve Havre Grace Out of the Darkness.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Councilmember Martin. Questions or comments? Councilmember Martin?
These are the type of events we need. You've heard myself, you've heard Councilmember Robertson speak of friends, associates, and fellow service personnel that have committed suicide, so that anything that brings more awareness to our citizens, to our police officers, EMS, and our service members, that will make them understand that there are people out there in support of them, is a great event, and great things can come from it.
Thank you, Councilmember Martin. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Havre Grace Out of the Darkness Walk, scheduled for October 2nd, 2021, is approved by council 6-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamptori, did you want to discuss item A on new business, or
Mayor, I can do that under my comments or under new business.
whatever
either
you
way.
choose?
Very good, thank you. Council, as you recall, back on the 25th of May, I provided council with a update on geocaching. Geocaching was a resolution that was passed by council, and is Resolution 2021-01 is amended. And in that acceptance by council, you asked the administration to come back by the end of June with a overview of what we have learned about geocaching within the city. At that time, we've done research within the administrative group, and I provided an overview to the council president and council on the 25th with our recommendation as to how we should move forward. Fortunately or unfortunately, however you look at it, geocaching has taken hold, and it's happening, whether I think we like it or not. It's throughout the city. There's 30 current sites that are active, 95 current sites within the city in a 5-mile radius, and more than 270 sites within the northeastern Maryland, southern Pennsylvania area. The concern the administration had wasn't anything more than being certain that the cache sites were legitimate, they were not offensive, and they were not destroying any of the city property. As you know, with anyone that uses city property, they must get a permit, either a license or lease agreement. We also want to make sure that as these occur, there's no profitability that's occurring with any of these sites. I'm not overly familiar with geocaching other than the few that I've been exposed to locally. I'm not sure if there's even the opportunity to profit off of a site personally. So what our recommendation is, as stated, was to continue to move forward with the the permitting at no cost to the individual that's setting up the geocache site. They also have to go through, in order to have it a viable site within the network of geocachers, is that they have to register the site anyway. So at some point, we'll find out or figure out that it's there. But what they also want to make sure is that there's not multiple sites so close to one another that they interfere. So the recommendation, I believe, is pretty clear, that we'll move forward and just sort of take it one step at a time and see where this goes. And that was in a lot of collaboration within the planning department. They're the ones that are going to be doing the permitting.
Any questions, Councilman? Yep.
Mr. Gamatore, did you happen to find any of the geocaches?
I found one.
Oh, yeah, what was it?
It was actually a part of the Underground Railroad.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'm not going to tell you I found it because I'm a sleuth. I found it because I looked it up and I found out where it was at, so I could physically go see it.
Any other questions? Councilman Robertson.
Yeah, this is something that I've recently become, I guess, more aware of because my mother has taken my son to go do it, and it's, I think, a lot more innocuous than I would have thought before.
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe closer to like that Pokemon Go thing, but it's not that at all. I'm just wondering, man, how deep into the flows of government bureaucracy we really want to go with like a permitting process for this, because in my mind, what's the difference between leaving a geocache somewhere and tagging that it's there versus those little painted rocks that people like to leave places, for other people to find? Are we going to start permitting those too? So I mean, what are we really enforcing? What's the purpose of a permit?
Well, and again, based on the memo, our major concern isn't, and I agree, the rocks are little cute things. You can have fun on the geocaching, like your mother-in-law and your son. We just don't want anything to become offensive.
Yeah.
And that's really what the crux of it is hoping that when people are setting up the sites and they're not going to a geocache like development site where you actually register them, and they're just sort of doing it on their own, and it becomes something that's offensive where they wouldn't want to register, but they're putting them in anyway. So I don't know that it's going to do, I don't know where this is going to go. I think it's to have some sort of permitting process in place that at least the bad guys that are out there knows that the city has some awareness of what's happening. We'll see, we'll revisit it. Council can revisit it in a year or 6 months. I don't see a whole lot of activity on our end with it. And we debated whether or not just to not do anything, but we just felt like in the environment that we're in, probably would not be a bad idea just to monitor it to make sure no one's offended.
But, I mean, we could probably do that with a set of definitions too, instead of a permitting process.
Right.
And then if we got a complaint, then that's when the city would enforce those definitions. Just a thought.
All right.
I don't want to spend too much time on that, sorry.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman Robertson. Any other questions? Councilmember Boyer?
I just want to express a concern that I have that, that we're making assumptions and putting in a process, and we haven't had somebody go look at all these places to make sure that they do comply or not. We're making some assumptions, and only one was found. No, I'm not really comfortable with that, so thank you.
There is a map
I
within
don't
your...
even know how to do this.
There's a map within your packet that shows all the sites. So if you wanted to go take the time to look at each one of them, they're all legitimate sites.
That's this map.
Yeah, they're all very legitimate sites. I can also give you a website that it's free, a free app that you can go on, and it kind of depends on what you're interested in is what sites that you would want to go
But
visit.
they're hidden, right?
They are. But it gives a general location. It doesn't give the precise location. But It's really up to each individual. But as of this moment, none have been, we have not received any complaints, nor have we found any that are offensive.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Gamatoria, for the update on the geocache. And that takes us to item 15, reports from the directors. And Director of Administration, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one, I'd like to thank council again for your passage of the budget. It was a very stressful period of time on the administrative side because of where we were with COVID and some of the unknowns with the General Assembly and how they were going to impact us. And so I appreciate that. I also will apologize ahead of time that since me sitting in this seat, I don't have that good Patrick Saipold radio voice that he actually did each meeting. But what I will do is I'll just kind of give a reminder out to the folks that are watching of the many different events. We're in the event season. We're coming into some of our signature events that are in the forefront and will occur prior to the next council meeting. So as we know, the farmers markets every Saturday, that's been doing very well attended down at Hutchins Park. That occurs every Saturday morning. 8:30 is when they open up, but the bread man doesn't get there till 10 after 9. Supposed to be there 9, but 10 after 9. Concerts in the park, very successful last couple weeks. They've had, in concerts in the park this year, a little bit of change, 7:30 p.m. they start, and they will go through not only June this year, but also July. So we have that to look forward to, and from the two I attended, the attendance has just been outstanding. The mayor mentioned Austin Brantley and the Ernest Burke statue. We expect to take delivery of the statue tomorrow morning. We're not going to be able, according to plan, we sort of got a little bit behind with the transportation of the unit. It was supposed to be here this morning. Mr. Woody had a game plan to get it accepted and start to get it set. We're having bad weather tomorrow, so we're sort of on a day's hold now. But the statue will arrive sometime tomorrow. Will be inspected by Mr. Jim McFarland, who is one of the committee members, and we'll have it prepped, ready to go, site pristine down at the Tidings Park for the unveiling this Saturday at 1 o'clock at the park. Ms. Murphy has worked with several members, including the administration in City Hall with Mr. Rachinsky, and they're planning a very nice event on Saturday morning. And I just wanted to kind of give one plug, having multiple, I'm involved from multiple angles on this. The Ernest Burke Foundation is, in fact, a foundation that's of Community Projects of Havre de Grace, Inc. And sometimes we lose sight of all the different activities that go on in the city with a lot of foundations and committees that are outside of the scope of the city itself. And they all are the direct result of Community Projects of Havre de Grace. It's a nonprofit that was created back in the late 90s. The organization has had great successes, including the Harris football field. There's a number of organizations that have spun off, including the Havre de Grace Color School Foundation, that all started with community projects, and that's what where Ernest Burke statue was Cam A. Murphy's vision, and she came to the organization and she worked very diligently and very hard and raised a lot of money, and so we can't wait for that to finally take place and unveil it. Austin was flying in this evening. He was supposed to be here in time for the council meeting, and we kind of figured with the weather, he probably got held up somewhere, either in flight going around BWI or just because of traffic. So that'll take place on Saturday. Of course, we have First Fridays. Our big signature weekend will be coming up in July with First Friday, and then following First Friday, we'll have the Spirit of America Festival, which will take place downtown, which is a brand-new event this year, and sort of filling in the gap between Friday and 4th of July Sunday. So we're looking forward to that event that'll take place down at in the downtown. There will also be a lot of activities that will be associated with that, including a concert, I believe. And then that leads us to Sunday, where we're actually going to celebrate the 4th on the 4th of July. And with a parade that we've all been waiting for a long time due to COVID, the 4th of July Commission has done a great job of trying to line up as many participants this year. Due to COVID, they've been very challenged with that because of the masking, the social distancing. Now that everything's wide open, the commission is doing a great job to get us a parade that we'll all be able to forget about the last year and what COVID meant to us. Along with the 4th of July festivities will be concerts at both Hutchins Park and then later in the evening down at Concord Point Park, which will culminate with the fireworks display that will be shot off from the barge down at Concord Point Park. So it's going to be an action-packed weekend, that first weekend of July with First Friday. Then we get the Saturday event and then culminate with the parade and the fireworks on the 4th of July. Then we'll all be back here for the council meeting on Monday. Mr. Mayor, that's the extent of my comments.
Thank you much. Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatorian. We're going to go over to Mr. Grimm for Director of Planning, and sitting in for Mr. Grimm this evening is Ms. Diane Clare from the Planning Department. Good evening, Ms. Clare. Thanks for being here.
Good evening, and thank you for having me this evening. I don't have anything from Director Shane Grimm for the record, but I wanted to let you know that the Critical Area Ordinance chapter will be coming to you now that the budget is wrapped up. The Critical Area Ordinance for this review with this update includes the ordinance text based on state regulations that have passed since our last update in 2005 and the adoption of the digital state maps. The digital state maps map rollout and mapping process, if you remember, was in the fall of 2020, and we have 2 years in which to adopt those maps, and that will be part of the process to just get those underway. And then the ordinance update itself is based on the state model ordinance and buffer regulations that have passed in 2010 and 2012. The Department of Planning will be rolling this out with the Department of Administration for land use ordinances, so stay tuned as far as that process. I don't know if you want to speak to that process at all as far as planning committee and such.
Sure. So, and council just received our flow chart on the whole process. So we'll make a determination between the planning department, the planning committee. I'm sure they're going to want to review it, and then it'll go based on that review, whether it'll go over to the planning commission, whether it's by right it does not have to, but if the planning committee feels it necessary, it will, and then it'll come back to this council in the normal ordinance process.
So just so you know, it's done, wrapped up, and it's been a long slog, so I appreciate your patience for that. And I also wanted to let you know that the comprehensive plan is underway, and I will have more information on timelines and public input in the near future, working with the department director, Shane Grimm, and the Planning Commission chairman on that. It's great timing following the census information, and the title of it's Envision Havre Grace. I have a mock-up of the graphics if anybody's interested in the first sort of preamble chapter. But yeah, we're getting ready to get into the thick of that, so that will be full-time. So that's my wrap-up.
Thank you very much, Ms. Clare. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Doherty, Director of Finance. Got your budget approver in business.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. You're exactly right. Thank you, Council, for approving the budget. We can actually come back after the new fiscal year. And I want to wish everybody a happy new year as we get into the new fiscal year. And the chief would reprimand me if I didn't remind you to celebrate the new year responsibly. So thank you for that. The current financial condition, the general fund is sitting at just under $3.3 million. It is about $2.4 million ahead of when we set up the budget where we thought it would be. We started the year with a $1.25 million greater than expected start. To that, we've added almost $1.22 million in salary and benefit savings as a result of a lot of the issues that were talked about in the compensation and benefits report about the difficulty attracting and retaining personnel, along with reduced overtime as the city kind of has slowly worked its way out of the COVID environment. To that, income tax, COVID has impacted negatively income tax receipts. They're running about $210,000 behind schedule as we speak. We have gotten about $175,000 more in grants than we originally estimated. Real property taxes are looking up. We're almost $120,000 ahead of what the constant yield estimated for us for the year. Interest, unfortunately, if anybody has any investments, they know what this year has meant for interest-bearing accounts. They have plummeted due to the COVID, and we're running about just under $85,000 behind schedule with those. And the highway user fees continue at where SHA estimated them, just under $65,000 behind what we originally planned. The water and sewer fund, the fund balance is sitting at just over $435,000, which is a little over $125,000 increase for the year. The operating profit is sitting at just under $2.05 million. To that, we add $2.8 million in capital fees that we've collected. We were one shy of the budgeted 71, but I heard from insider information that 2 additional were being worked on today, so we should be over the top. And so that was very, very close to where we thought we would be. And we've spent just over $4.7 million in capital projects and debt service for the year, leading us to the $125,000 increase. The Marina Fund is sitting just under $975,000, which is just short of a $150,000 increase for the year. The season has started a little slower. Last year at this time, we were at about $230,000 increase for the year. Plus, we have added, through council's approval, some $50,000 in additional repairs to the marina building and the like that you guys did just a few meetings ago. And so that accounts for most of the difference between the 2 years. And that's my report for this evening, sir. Thank you. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Horty. Any questions from council? Thank you much. Appreciate it. Good evening, Mr. Woody.
Mayor, Council, just a few things. The Lewis Street project, we finally needed the SHA funding for that. That $80,000, so working toward the budget amendment budget amendment on that project. Gerard Street, we got the community block grant, development block grant funding, and we're going to do a budget amendment next council meeting for that project. Both those projects have been, the contractors have been notified to move forward with the projects. And then on the development side, we have 3 projects that are pretty much coming to the point that they'll be under construction. One is a Blenheim Farm apartment. Plans are all approved, and we're basically working through the public works agreements and the bonding for those projects. That has bringing in a connection charges of around $1.9 million. It's about 51 or 52 apartments. That's their first phase. I'm finalizing the engineering plans on phase 2 of phase 2. There's another phase 3, but the phase 2 is 225 townhouses, and we're working through the final design plans for those and comments, and that has to be bonded.
That's a project that was being taken over by D.R. Horton. And then parcel N, we finished the plans review side. We're working out some issues with the commercial service application. And once that's approved, we'll be submitting for building permits. That's another 50-plus unit condominium with another $1.1 million, at least $1 million worth of connection charges. So we've got a lot going on in the as far as development phase, and that doesn't include the parcels that are already actively under development in Bully Rock. So a lot of things happening on that front as well. That's all I have for tonight. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Woody. Thank you for the update. Good evening, Chief Walter.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I think in April I spoke about National Night Out. It is a community building campaign that promotes police-community relations and also relationships and camaraderie within the different communities. Well, I just wanted to remind folks that on Tuesday, August the 3rd, is the 2021 National Night Out, and that usually is between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. So if any community wants to do National Night Out, just let us know. We'll be more than happy to stop by and visit with the communities, and if they're in planning any activities, we'll help them also with the planning of the activities. The other thing I wanted to remind, I know Mr. Gamatoria did a pretty good rundown of all of the different activities that are going on the weekend of July the 4th. But I really also want to, I would be remiss if I didn't remind people that please do not claim your piece of real estate on Union Avenue prior to 8 in the morning. Do not, set up your chairs, your blankets, your beach towels, scope out your, put caution tape around your little plot. Don't leave wagons there. Don't leave your husband there. Don't leave your wife there. Don't leave your kids there. Because if they're there before 8 o'clock, we're going to tow them away. No. No, because we have a lot of folks that live on Union Avenue and they don't need everything set up the night before. And sometimes it does interfere with what we are doing as far as setting things up for the parade and the whole Independence Day celebration. The other thing that we ask that you please be mindful at the end of the parade, if you have any trash or any broken chairs or anything like that, take that with you. Don't leave it there for the residents and the businesses to have to clean up or DPW. And finally, please pay attention to the no parking signs along the route, not only along that route, but also since we do have a lot of moving parts, so to speak, that weekend between First Friday and the Salute to America and also the parade and fireworks. There are different no parking signs at different locations with the different hours, also barricades and traffic cones, so please pay attention to those as well. And please also pay attention to any traffic direction or control that either an auxiliary officer might be giving you or any law enforcement officer, whether it's Havre Grace or Maryland State Police or Sheriff's Office or whomever we have helping us out. And we just do this to make sure that everybody is safe and everybody gets home safe and has a really good experience in our city for the Independence Day weekend. So that would be my report, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much. We're going to go to business from the mayor's office. We've had 4 COVID cases in the city of Havre Grace in the month of June. Today is June 21st. So I think that is good news. That is good news. I understand, I was talking to someone today that there were no COVID patients in Havre Memorial Hospital and only 1 in Upper Chesapeake. So, the metrics are definitely looking very, very positive. The vaccine seems to be doing its job. I don't know what the vaccine percentage is in Harford County or state of Maryland. I know it's 70%. I know we're one of the few states that hit 70%, but like I say, this is all positive news. The report that the numbers are as low as they are. Again, COVID still exists. It's a real thing that may be around for a while, just like the flu always is. But as far as being the pandemic that it was, hopefully, we won't see those numbers that we have seen in the last year. So just be careful. If keep washing your hands and be diligent. But it looks like we've turned the corner and things are doing good. You can tell by the events in the city and just a general happiness of the American people that we turn a corner. So keep up the good work, everybody. A couple comments real quick. Some administrative changes. I've mentioned this at the last council meeting. We will be receiving funds from the American Rescue Plan sometime probably in the second or third week of July. We're anticipating to receive our first installment. So because of that, we've made a few changes. Mr. Patrick Seipel, who's the Director of Administration, created a new position temporarily called Director of Capital Projects. Mr. Gamatori, who was our Chief of Staff, has moved up to the position of Director of Administration. I have hired a consultant. Former Major General Randy Taylor of Aberdeen Proving Ground will be a consultant for City of Havre de Grace on pretty much a full-time basis and will serve as Chief Advisor to the Mayor. He's expecting to take his role in the City of Havre de Grace probably mid-July. As you notice, we do have a vacancy left when Miss Erica Quisenberry left her position about a month ago, and council will be voting on Miss Bridget Johnson's contract this evening. So we're very happy with that prospect. So we're doing a lot of work here in the City of Havre de Grace, you know, putting all the pieces together so we can effectively serve the citizens on a daily basis and serve them to the best way we can. I've always said all along, you know, the key to success is having the right people in the right positions. And we feel very strongly moving into the next year, at least I think the next 3 years are going to be very important. But we feel strongly that we have the people in place to execute the vision of the citizens of the city. And it's not just the directors sitting in front of you. We got an amazing staff in City Hall. We have an amazing crew out in DPW, in our water and wastewater treatment plants. More importantly, we got one heck of a police department. And that's another thing too, according to SafeWise. SafeWise is an insurance organization that collects data on crime. Havre de Grace is listed once again in the top 10 safest cities in the state of Maryland, and there's 157 municipalities. So, Chief, you must be doing something right.
The officers, they're outstanding.
They're amazing. You got a great team, and thank you for your leadership. And you got 2 excellent captains as well. So, absolutely. Again, I saw them in action all week down at the carnival. It was a pretty, you know, well-behaved carnival for the most part, but man, a lot of people. And I want to remind people real quick, the parade costs a lot of money to do. I mean, the parade in Havre de Grace is sacred. It's our biggest event of the year. When I was, you know, before I got involved in the workings of the city, I thought that parade just took place and everybody showed up out of the goodness of their heart, and that, you know, a group of volunteers made some money and they just moved on their merry way and they paid for the fireworks and that was it. Do you know that these parades cost between $40,000 to $50,000? I didn't know that. I mean, not until I got involved in it. I mean, yeah, because think about it. It's on the weekend. So all these bands in the state of Maryland and Delaware and Pennsylvania, New Jersey, they could go anywhere they want. They can go to Baltimore, they can go to DC. And so sometimes you got to pay and compete with some of these marching bands. And not just bands, but other performers that show up. And you have to give out prizes, first place prize, second place prize. And so it's a very hefty price tag to put on a quality, and I repeat the word, quality parade, where it's a good mixture of, you know, the Ravens marching bands or the Mummers band from Philadelphia or bagpipers and things like that, or Revolutionary War fife and drum bands. Some aren't expensive. Some might just be $500, but some are like $3,000, $4,000, these bands. And because of that, I've said this before, because it's so arbitrary what different parade entrants charge to be in parade, it's very, very difficult to justify using taxpayer dollars to do that. And we don't use taxpayer dollars for the parade. Can you imagine if somebody knew we spent $3,000 on a band and they think, man, that band was really bad. I can't believe my taxpayer dollars went to that. Like, you know, that's why we don't do that. the arbitrariness of it, or just the fact, unelected commission handing out dollars, tax dollars, without any kind of bid process to it. That's why we don't do it that way. So we have this commission of citizens who've been appointed with a charge by this council and administration to say, we need you to go out there, and your job all year is one thing, the parade. But yet we don't give them any money to do it. We say, go raise $50,000. Now, we do give them a line item in the budget, about $5,000, but that goes to porta pot rentals, walkie-talkie rentals, golf cart rentals, postage, and things like that. That's operating some costs for the commission. So I want everybody to understand, because a lot of people don't know this, and I want this to be well known, because there's only a few people on this commission, okay? And you're going to see them on the 4th of July. They're wearing yellow shirts that say volunteers on the back. And I want everybody to know what goes into this. And so you imagine if you had to raise $40,000 to $50,000 a year. I mean, limited means. So I mean, they've been very creative. They've done, of course, the carnival's always and always has been, even with the previous Independence Day Committee. The carnival's always has been, the biggest generator for it, and that's why the city supports that, and that's why we do the carnival. The Independence Day Commission worked the beer sales at the Defenders Day weekend, May 1st. They do, the Christmas Tree Jubilee on Holly Jolly First Fridays, where people donate trees and they auction them off. They do fundraisers. They used to do the John O'Neill Gala before COVID. So they do a variety of things, and through a lot of hard work and dedication and support of our community, of course, they come up with that number. So, but I want everybody to know that. So the carnival that took place this past Tuesday to this past Saturday was down in the city yacht basin. And, we put down the yacht basin so, the park wouldn't get destroyed, and, the parking lot held it really well. It was very crowded. Nobody anticipated the crowd, and the carnival promoter did say the 3 previous carnivals he was at this year were very crowded. So it's probably a combination of, good weather, people been told they can't do much for the last 14 months, and never be able to go out and just be themselves again. And, maybe some people, maybe some a little bit of COVID money or something like that, which is, I'm glad to see they're spending their COVID money to their kids on their kids. But anyway, so it was a very, very successful, probably one of the most successful carnivals we've ever had in Havre de Grace. So, but I want everybody to know that's why we do it. The carnival is essential, as well as all the other fundraisers, to provide that one moment during that day on the weekend, on the 4th of July weekend, where we sit on the side of Union Avenue with our families and our traditions, and we enjoy that parade. Now, I do want to say, there usually averages about 90 to 100 parade entrants in the parade, and the parade is almost a 2-hour parade. About a month ago, I don't even think there was 50 people in the parade. It was looking slim. And one of the issues was a lot of the bands, high school bands, the professional bands that come, they haven't had a chance to train. They haven't had a chance to be together because because of COVID, everybody was kind of shut down and not training. Even Harford County Public Schools had an edict that said, no bands. Then Harford County Public School had an edict that said, you can have a band, but if you're not vaccinated, you have to wear a mask. It just kept on going on and on. Well, finally, literally a couple of weeks ago, there were no high school bands. And the goal was, and I know we've done this last couple of years, we got all 9 high schools that marched down Union Avenue. 3 weeks ago, we had none. Now we have 6. We're trying to get Havre de Grace. I'm joking. No, Havre de Grace isn't in. No, Havre de Grace isn't in. Everybody like, what? No. Havre de, oh yeah, Rick Hoff's there. Rick Hoff wouldn't miss this. But, so it's happening. And then I get thinking the reason I tell you, my wife is on the commission, and she's in charge of the parade. And there's a lot of good people on this commission. And so I live this every day of my life. My whole dining room table and living room has been taken over with parade stuff. But I want everyone to know that good people, good Havre de Grace people, have worked very hard to pull off an event that most people who are not watching this will have no idea when they sit on the sideline of Union Avenue what it took to pull this off this year. Because there are not a whole lot of towns having a parade this year. a lot of towns have canceled. So much that I know for a fact the state comptroller, Mr. Peter Francho, is coming to our parade. That's how many towns have canceled. Not that we're not important, but, you know, the gentleman is running for governor. You figured he would be down in the bigger cities, but they're all canceled. You know, and so we're getting a lot of other big, you know, office holders come up our way because of so many other parades being canceled. So our parade is on. And I bet you won't even notice a difference. We got 96 entrants as of today. We got some great bands, great performers, and it's going to be another stellar home run, grand slam for City of Havre. So again, so if you see people walking around on 4th of July wearing yellow shirts that say volunteer, tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, thanks for what you do. Because there's a small group of people and they're very dedicated to pulling off our tradition. So with that said, I'm done. And we'll move on to business from the council. We're going to start off Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens. Again, I would like to thank Fred Wills for his preparing the presentation this evening and the work that you've been doing all year with the Wage and Benefits Commission. And also, during the presentation, highlighting some of the challenges that we have to produce workable, competitive wages for the city employees and the challenges we're going to be facing over the coming year or two, working through some of the inequalities that have happened maybe with COVID and also some of the competitiveness that we have with other municipalities in Maryland and the way they pay their workforce, including obviously the police force. So I want to thank you again for making us maybe more aware than what we already have been and what those challenges look like. While the mayor stole a lot of my thunder about the parade, the carnival was something to see. I don't know that I've ever seen so many people in one place in one time in such a small space. It didn't look small in the past, but on the carnival nights it certainly did. But we had a lot of volunteers that came and manned the ticket booth and also tried to help with line management so that things didn't get too bottled up, because we saw a lot of places where the line was so long and then the line for a ride or food was right next to each other, so you couldn't tell who was buying tickets and who was going on a ride and who wanted to buy food. And I also want to thank our stellar police force for a great job that they did throughout the whole carnival. I think one of the reasons we may have been so successful in drawing people, aside from the fact that individuals are happy to get out and be with their friends and do something fun, is I think this was the first year since I've been on the commission that there wasn't rain. At least one or two of the nights that caused cancellations. So we were able to get the benefit of the great weather. I also want to talk about what the mayor touched on as far as the commission members who are working on this. I'm working on the food trucks with another commissioner, and we've been making phone calls, sending out emails. So we do have several food trucks coming on, and they'll be there for the concerts as well. But what the mayor said is true in terms of the few number of bands that we have. And I will tell you that Taryn Martin is obsessed with having bands. You cannot have a parade unless you have bands, and you need many bands. And she was getting turned down, but she did not give up. She really pushed it. And part of the problem was people just did not know where we would be and if restrictions would be lifted. So, and they didn't practice together throughout the year, so they were also reticent because they felt that they could not be their best because they did not have the practice. And that was one of the things that the Ravens band told us. They did not want to do any 4th of July because they had not practiced, and they're a professional band and they need to put their best foot forward. So anyway, I think we're up to about 92 or so entrants in terms of nonprofits, bands, community groups, neighborhoods, and politicians. Several of them will be there. So I just really want to comment that this commission works not that the other commissions don't work all year long, but their focus is that parade, as the mayor said. And we are meeting practically, we would have met tonight if it wasn't a council meeting. We've met every Monday night for the past month or so, and we'll be definitely meeting next week before the 4th to make sure we have everything tidied up. We know where we're going, and we can also direct other volunteers who are helping us. So it's going to be a wonderful 4th, and I'm really looking forward to it. Just wanted to mention that the Arts Commission will be meeting next Tuesday at 6:30 in City Hall, and that's my comments for this evening.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Appreciate it. Councilmember Robertson, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, city staff, ladies and gentlemen here and at home. Yeah, I want to echo the same comments. Excellent job by the Independence Day Commission. Phenomenal. Unbelievable the amount of people that were there, especially compared to, years prior. I don't know if it was just the first big thing to do and everybody's finally feeling comfortable, or if this was just that sweet spot between the end of school and before vacations and folks were showing up, but it was good. Great job with the organization, and I'm also looking forward to the parade and that whole weekend. Today I had the opportunity to welcome Mr. Jimmy Thomas as he ended his kayaking trip from Cooperstown, New York, all the way down here to Havre. He ended at the American Legion. And it's a 444-mile trek. It took him 18 days of paddling, plus, days of being rained out and camping and all that stuff along the Susquehanna River. And he was raising money for a nonprofit called Wolves for Warriors, which take abandoned dogs and basically rehome them as service members and train them to be service dogs and all that good stuff. So it was cool. I got to meet his service dog that was with him for most of the trip. His name was Boots, golden retriever, really friendly dog. And he raised $20K, so far just on that trip. This guy had no experience kayaking. This was his first time kayaking in his life, and he decided to do a 444-mile trip from New York to Havre on the river. Prior to that, he did a bike ride across country, also raising money for a nonprofit. So, spectacular. If you guys see Rich Weiner Sr. Hanging around the city at all, just give him a pat on the back and thank him for stepping up to be the next president of the Economic Development Advisory Board. We all thanked Warren for his years of service and dedication to EDAB, and Rich is looking forward to stepping up and taking the reins. So good for him for stepping up. Other than that, I hope everybody had a great Father's Day, a great weekend. I hope everyone has a great prelude to Independence Day. And as the chief would probably say, don't do anything I wouldn't do. And if you do, don't mention my name.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Good evening, Councilmember Martin.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, citizens. Chief, the torch run on Tuesday the 8th was well attended. Your command staff was there. There was a lot of allied support, and it was for Special Olympics. So kudos to the department again for stepping outside the box and working to raise funds for needs. We appreciate it, and it's nice that I wanted to recognize you tonight for that and your whole organization. Thank you. The Ambulance Corps canceled their food truck for Father's Day so as not to interfere with the festival down at the Lock House. However, they are back again starting this Sunday, so the Havre de Grace Ambulance Corps will have 6 to 7 food trucks starting again this Sunday, so please come out and support the Ambulance Corps. That's it tonight.
Thank you, Councilmember Martin. Councilmember Ringsicker.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, Council, last Monday, the Planning Commission approved the preliminary site plan for the first batch of homes to go up on Zion Hill, so that will be coming soon. They're looking at probably after the first of the year to break ground on the first setup of run of houses up there. Can't remember, I think it was 149 for the first batch, Right. So that's moving along. The other developer, we haven't gotten his plans yet for that. I also went down to the torch run, which is a great time, and the carnival, as everybody else already mentioned. But I'd like to thank Julie out there and everybody from the Lock House for recognizing the Freemasons, allowing us to come there and have a little picnic, just as a thank you for the work we do on all the luminaries. But I got to tell you, that wasn't the highlight of my day, because there are a few things in my life that I'm always going to remember, you know, marrying my wife, birth of my children, and I got to shoot a cannon at the pirate encampment. So that was awesome. That was awesome. That was awesome. But I still can't hear. But it was a great time. Got to try Battery Island Brewing that day, and the next day got to try Councilman Robertson's beer, and it was pretty good. One thing I really want to remind people to do, everybody's so busy and they're enthralled in their phones while they're driving. Look out for motorcycles, please, because just in town the past week, I've only ridden like 2 or 3 days. I've probably been running off my bike at least 4 times. And just people just inattentive, you know, coming to the intersection. I mean, I'm a big guy on a bright purple motorcycle with LED lights. I'm hard to miss, but, you know, just please you know, look twice, save a life. Tell that to the local wildlife too. But with that, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Good evening, Councilmember Boyer.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Again, jumping on to everybody else, kudos for the festival. I mean, the carnival, it was incredible. I have a different perspective. I live 2 blocks away, and you could hear constant giggles and screams of laughter, families walking together, people who parked along our road. When they would go back to their cars, they all had a wonderful time carrying these poor fish that that probably not going to have that long of a spirit too.
And the big blow-up aliens.
Right. So I mean, it was wonderful. So for the people who live in the area down there, it was well run. We didn't have what our constant problems had been in the past with people urinating in our yards and stuff like that. The one thing I will bring up is that we had constant problems on Washington Street with people going the wrong way. And I don't know whether, obviously it's people who don't know the neighborhood, or I don't know whether we just have to have better signage or more available. But there's a lot of near misses on head-on collisions on Washington Street multiple times throughout the week. And it's just something that we just need to be aware of. Everybody in the community just points it out to people when they see them, like, you need to stop and turn, but it's a constant thing there. This Saturday met Councilman Beulah, and we had the fortune of watching Route 40 during an accident that had been on 95. And, you know, the stacking up of traffic. It's something that's becoming more and more of an issue. I mean, it's now practically, you know, every other day we have this problem, and there's problems with people in the middle of the intersections and pedestrians trying to cross and having to juggle through the cars. And we had planned, we met at Burger King. We had planned to go down and talk about the crazy intersection down at the Royal Farms to, again, prioritize that. And we couldn't even get down there. So just put that on the table too. Things that we need to constantly bring up to not only our county council members, but also our state representatives, is the impact Route 95 and the bridge has on the traffic within Havre. The other thing that I've been noticing is that people, and it must be the Waves app, is taking people down roads in order, like down Ohio, and
It uses
it's
an
horrible.
algorithm to show where there's less traffic.
Yes.
If it's piled up on Route 40. If it's piled up on Route 40, it'll specifically send people to side roads to get around it.
Right. And then what happens is that the big tractor trailers get on those little tiny roads, and then they try to make that right onto Route 40, and they don't have enough berth to do it, and it creates even more of a problem. So just things that we need to keep bringing up, and hopefully somebody will have an epiphany and come up with a solution. Maybe make it so that you don't have to go only over the 40 bridge, you can go other ways, 95 using the pass. So that's that. Finally, something else that people might not be aware of, and I know Mr. Gambatoria can speak more of it and hopefully will, we have had an impact within Havre de Grace on our postal system as a result of the larger issue with the postal system, specifically down in Dundalk. And Steve, if you could explain to people what's happening and why they did not receive mail today.
So the Postal Service, because of the problems in Baltimore and down at Dundalk, I guess they're doing like a rotation with different post offices, and our post office is involved. So 2 postal carriers are assigned to Dundalk or the Baltimore area. So the days that that occurs, there's routes in Havre de Grace that won't receive delivery. And we kind of noticed it today because City Hall was one of those groups that didn't receive delivery. And we didn't call anybody, we didn't ask, but one of the local postal carriers stopped in City Hall just to let us know. So that's where we stand on that.
And yet again, another constant problem is something, again, if we can bring it up to our elected officials at the state, specifically the federal level. I know many of us are going to go down to MML, and hopefully we can bring these issues up, because while larger communities could absorb 2 employees leaving and going to help out down in Dundalk, with a small staff in Havre de Grace, it makes it so that a large group of us don't get our mail that day. So with that, that's it. Thank you very much. And happy Independence Day, everyone.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyer.
Independence Day.
CP?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow council members. First off, I want to say a personal thank you to Tim Whitty and his DPW team. I got a phone call this weekend from a resident in Grace Harbor, said, Council President, I don't have any water. We don't have any water at the house. I reached out to Tim Whitty, and to the surprise of no one, they were on it. They were on it. Quick response, quick resolution, and that's not an isolated event. You do it all the time. And so just from this council president, I just want to say thank you for all you do. Also want to send my apologies out to Miss Cammie Murphy. Unfortunately, this Saturday, I've got a scheduling conflict. I cannot make the Ernest Burke unveiling. You heard the mayor tonight talk about Ernest Burke being a trailblazer. Miss Cammie's a trailblazer in her own right. I mean, she is absolutely awesome. Through her tireless dedication, through her selfless service, she made what was once only a dream a reality. And it's going to be a great day for Havre de Grace. I've seen a picture of the statue. It looks awesome. And when you go down there where that statue is going to be sitting, when kids go up and want to have their picture taken with the Ernest Burke statue, it's going to be a Kodak moment, because you have a picture of the statue, the kids, and the water in the background. And it's going to be a great day, and I just want to say to Ms. Cammie, thank you for all you do. And last but certainly not least, school's come to an end this year, and with that, we are losing 3 very, very special principals in the Havre de Grace community. We're losing Ron Wooden, we're losing Jamie Johnson, and we're losing Jimmy Reynolds. And what a tremendous loss for this community. They are going to leave some really tough shoes to fill. And I just want to go on record and wish them all the best. And to remind them as they leave Havre de Grace, never forget, warrior proud, Grace on top. So, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Council President. We're going to go to item number 18 on this evening's agenda. Item 18 is comments from citizens. Now, this is the part of the agenda. If you're here to talk about a matter of city business that wasn't on the agenda, please raise your hand and be recognized. Okay, fair enough. It takes us to item 19. We're going to need a Motion to go into closed session. I'll hand it off to Council President Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, General Provision Article 3-305, I'm going to make a motion to go to recess, go to closed session on Monday, June 21st at 9:20 to consider the following matter: the appointment of the Economic Development Director. The council will reconvene in open session to record the vote in public and any deliberations the council has on the above matter. The meeting will be closed under the General Provisions Article, Section 3-305B1, and the reason for this closed meeting is as follows. The discussion surrounding the selection and appointment of the Economic Development Director and the appointment competencies of personnel are sensitive and entitled to confidentiality. So, Mr. Mayor, that's my motion, and I'm looking for a second.
Council, I have a motion by the Council President. Go into closed session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Ringsacher. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Okay, council will now at this point move into closed session. We will adjourn, or
We're missing Casey.
Here she is. She's here.
Yep. Oh, I'm good.
Jim, you ready? The time is now 9:51 p.m. on June 21st, 2021, and we are reconvening from a closed session. I'm going to call the roll real quick, make sure all council members are accounted for. Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Councilmember Ringsacher.
Here.
Council President Glenn.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson.
Here.
Councilmember Zinner.
Here.
Okay, we're going to go to item 24. I'm sorry, item 23. Sorry, item 23, business of council.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Ringsacher.
I make a motion, we accept the contract to make Ms. Bridget Johnson the new Director of Economic Development.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Ringsacher, seconded by Councilmember Martin. The motion is to approve the contract of Bridget Johnson for the position of Director of Economic Development for the City of Havre de Grace. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 All against say nay. Motion to approve the contract of Bridget Johnson for Economic Development Director for the City of Havre de Grace is approved, 6-0 in the affirmative.
Welcome back.
Ms. Johnson, can you do me the honor of joining me in the well, and I'll swear in the office.
I would say congratulations to Ms. Bridget, but I think we're just lucky you said yes. So thank you.
Congratulations to you, Jason, and to you and you. We get her.
Yeah, right? Congratulations, council.
Welcome back.
All right, is this on? Okay, great. Congratulations, Ms. Johnson, and thank you so much for accepting the position of Director of Economic Development for the City of Havre de Grace. I'm going to ask that we take the oath of office. I'm going to ask that you raise your right hand and repeat after me. When I say the word I, please repeat the word I, but also say your name. I promise to fulfill the requirements of the office I'm about to assume, that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as Director of Economic Development,
as Director of Economic Development,
City of Havre, Grace,
Grace,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Welcome on board. Okay, so this goes into the city archives.
Just clicked up here.
What?
Nothing. I'll explain later.
Congratulations, Bridget. Congratulations.
Thank you for your support, council. The city of Havre de Grace looks forward to working with Ms. Johnson, and she's no stranger to the city. She's done a lot of work for us, and we look forward to having her join us up here on the dais in the near future. Council, I have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Council President, seconded by Chief Walter. Sorry.
Fair. She's not sitting in her chair, she's up here.
Councilmember Zinner, I think.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank
that'll
you.
work. All those.
That'll work.
Shouldn't Bridget be sitting up here? She just took the oath of office.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to adjourn carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Time is now 9:57.